Linney was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave our criminal ample time. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the deceased's name is Cowell, Linney.
This is the new one, isn't it?
The vase was not broken by chance. It was used to cover important evidence. The water.
Yeah. Lynette, tell us how you performed the magic trick.
Oh, Paimon gets it! It all comes together if Halsey disappeared instead of being kidnapped. Lynette escaped from the water tank, vanishing gradually and leaving only clothes behind. If there's a similar method where a person could be transformed into water...
Did we just stand on Halsey the entire time in the tunnel underneath?
Just a moment, please. I do hope you know how preposterous you sound at the moment.
Oh, this is going to be great. The Hydro Archon is going to be proved incorrect on a matter of water. It's going to be brilliant.
How could a person ever be transformed into water? This is reality we're talking about here, not some magic trick.
I request that we examine Cal's personal effects.
Must we really? I should think that of anyone. Your friend Linney already knows this truth very well. Magic tricks are ultimately just illusions and misdirection. But Halsey's disappearance is very real. We're talking about two completely different things.
That's fine, but you stand to lose nothing if we examine his effects.
Even so, I trust the traveler's judgment. The truth must be out there somewhere. Perhaps some new line of reasoning may open if we try to gather all the focal points that don't make sense. Since Cal was the deceased, we haven't placed much attention on him. But given that we aren't making much progress with the case, it wouldn't hurt to have a look at his belongings, would it?
People really do come up with all sorts of harebrained schemes when at the end of their rope. The way I see it, your suggestion that we broaden the scope of our investigation is nothing but a tactic for stalling the trial.
What difference does it make? Whether we stall or not, the facts are still going to be the same and the outcome's still going to be the same.
Nevertheless, I believe that this is a reasonable request on the part of an attorney. Since the trial does indeed appear to be at an impasse, I believe that additional evidence may help us make more progress.
Of course, this should have been done prior to the trial.
Guards, please step into the lounge and examine the personal effects of the deceased, Cowell.
How is that not already done? How is that not already done?
We are still examining the items, but we have already made critical progress that we feel must be shared with everyone post-haste. We discovered several test tubes of fluid within Cowell's baggage, each labeled separately. The notebook in his backpack claims that these fluids are water from the primordial sea.
Where is that? What is that?
The primordial sea.
The note's contents also indicate that Cowell belonged to an organization that sells illegal drugs and that he had an accomplice. The notebook has many entries concerning safe usage of these fluids, in which the keyword dissolve appears many times. One of these tubes was labeled Opera Epiclese, along with yesterday's date. It is empty. The notes also state that these dissolution properties work exclusively on people from Fontaine. It's likely that Halsey was chosen as some sort of test subject. As such, we believe that the defense's hypothesis is, in fact, supported by sufficient evidence.
You've got to be kidding! People dissolving into water?
Could something so ridiculous actually be true?
Wait a moment. This reminds me of a certain prophecy, but it's just a coincidence, isn't it?
Huh. If people can become water, does that mean that the water tank's real use was as a means to hide water stains? And if Cowell was targeting that girl... Wait just a minute. Could that mean... You two, with me, quick!
Demoiselle, wait! What about your partners?
Let's go. Just trust me.
I think she's going to get the water from downstairs. Though how you get the water, I don't know. And then how you turn it back into a person, I don't know.
Order! Order!
It is undeniable that further examination of the deceased's personal effects has yielded some surprising results. But we cannot yet verify the veracity of these clues.
Oh, I love him. Verify the veracity of these clues. That's exactly how I would speak, and I love you for it.
Still, let us assume that these clues are indeed authentic. albeit with the understanding that Ms. Halsey has yet to be found. Guards, please continue examining the items along these lines. Mr. Linney, it appears your hypothesis is supported by the evidence, so please continue speaking.
Of course. Thank you, Your Honor. If we uphold this hypothesis, I believe that many of this case's seemingly unrelated clues can be connected together.
Right! Like the metal hook! That one didn't make sense at all. Let's think about this. Cowell's methods must have something to do with that water from the primordial sea.
But what is the water from the primordial? Actually, don't even worry about the water. Where or what is the primordial sea? Who is the prime suspect currently?
The deceased's name is Cowell.
What item did the culprit use to control the timing of the dissolution?
When that was in the magic box on stage, I remember there was something else within the inner layer of that box.
Timing. Can I come back? Okay, but coming back to that one. What item did they use? This.
The water from the primordial sea should.
And then what item did the culprit use to hide the mechanism? Well, that.
I remember there was something else.
Well, it has to be that. Oh, sorry. This.
Now it seems like the hook rope.
Because the hook has to be relevant somehow.
It's Ace Detective Paimon's time to shine again!
Dear God.
In the original plan, Cowell would tamper with the water tank rope and the number selector securing his target. When the magic box containing Halsey was lowered, the metal hook would retract gradually and pierce the balloon at the top of the box.
Remember that Halsey was lowered. Okay, the metal hook would retract gradually and pierce the balloon at the top of the box. Oh, the balloon's inside the top of the box. Right, that's no longer there. Yeah.
When the balloon attached to the box popped, the water from the primordial seed inside it would pour down and dissolve Halsey. Afterward, Cowell would enter the tunnel and break the flower vase to conceal the water inside the tunnel, with the remaining evidence being covered up by the water tank on stage. But he encountered something unexpected in the tunnel, and wound up being fatally hit by the same water tank he meant to use to cover his tracks.
But that's the part I don't understand. What is this something unexpected? How did he end up in that box?
Huh. That does make sense.
That actually links together a lot of the more confusing pieces of evidence.
Oh dear, what do I do? Even I think they sound convincing now. Have I falsely accused an innocent person? What a humiliation.
Humiliation is the least of what you should be feeling right now for having accused an innocent person.
Now, it seems like the only point of contention remaining is the exact circumstances that led to Cal's death. His notes mentioned he had an accomplice who could be related to the situation.
On that note, the guards have just contacted me indicating that they uncovered new evidence. I shall now invite him on stage to share it with us.
Thank you, Your Honor. We were just inspecting the luggage of the other people involved in this case, and we found an identical sample of the water from the primordial sea among Linney's personal effects.
As someone setting up Linney, is one of the guards in on it? One of the guards in on it, which would explain where Halsey is gone. Because if the guards were at the exits and say that no one passed, but one of the guards was corrupt, I don't know, I still think Halsey is a puddle of water at the bottom of the tunnel, so that won't work.
What? That can't be.
Oh, I see. Well, how wonderfully comedic to have your own counterattack only to come back and wound you.
But wouldn't that be like super obvious? If you were the one committing this crime, you would know that they would go through your personal effects. So why would you have an incriminating piece of evidence still on you?
Does this
and then
not
bring
clear
the
all
point up in
doubts?
conversation? It's one thing to still have it on you, but to then point out that this evidence exists, Why would you do that if it could come back to you?
My dear citizens, my loyal audience, allow me to present my reasoning and bring this performance to a swift close.
It's not your turn, honey. We're still talking over here. Events in the tunnel.
Linney did not need to take part in the dissolution of the young woman at all. Indeed, he did leave the scene via the vent. Having made modifications to the props beforehand, his accomplice Cowl then caused Halsey to vanish using the water from the primordial sea. But upon his return, in cruel avarice, Linney desired sole credit and prepared to do away with his partner in crime.
That's great, but when has Linney ever expressed cruel avarice in his life?
Ultimately, he knocked Cowl out, and the tool meant to cover the crime up also became a murder weapon. Now, as much as I regret having come to such a viciously straightforward conclusion,
okay, that's not something you seem to feel.
It does seem that the famed Fatui is quite the cold-blooded and ruthless organization. Am I right, Mr. Linney?
No, and that was a bad question for you to have asked.
We used up all the evidence we collected. There's no way for us to make a rebuttal here.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Is this the end of the road?
That's super unfortunate.
Oh no! Paimon can't think of anything either. It doesn't look like there's any way around this.
Enter Navia and Halsey.
Seems using the water as new evidence was too good a move. Why did this have to happen now?
I think we've all seen enough now, and we have ample witnesses to my flawless reasoning.
You irk me.
I believe this is indeed the finale.
I don't get
Now
why
then, my good,
it's
noble
timed.
Chief Justice, should we not, in your view, move?
Because cases go backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. The cases could take days. Who is the oratrice to dictate that you only get 4 points?
Excuse me, everyone, but I must interject.
Also, illegal. We'll get you kicked out of court.
Miss, I must ask you not to shout and to respect the ongoing legal proceedings.
Oh, come on. Don't be hasty. I have a good reason for interrupting, you know. Now, would anyone here like to take a little break from all this debate and see a little magic? I'll show you an amazing trick. One that can bring a young woman who has disappeared back in the flesh, right before your very eyes. Please, do the honors, Mr. Linney, if you would be so kind.
What is she gonna be wearing?
What in the world is she saying?
No offense, miss, but miracles like that are beyond my scope as a magician.
Come on now, don't be silly. Magic is all about misdirection, isn't it? It often conceals the truth while presenting a fascinating illusion. But once everyone believes the illusion, can't magic reveal the truth to them once again? And wouldn't such a trick be the most marvelous finale to today's performance? Come on, Linney and Lynette, give it another go. Don't worry. Spina di Rasula has made the necessary arrangements on your behalf. But as the magic makers and stars of the show, I think I should leave the final performance to you.
I understand.
And voila.
That's it. That's anticlimactic. I thought they were gonna bring him on stage. How can he see? He's above the stage.
Sorry for the interruption.
He still can't see because the box is in the way.
Wait, isn't that Halsey? So the whole thing about people dissolving wasn't true after all?
To be clear, I'm only here because this person told me that if I testified, the merit of doing so would lessen my sentence.
She is involved.
I was hiding outside this room listening to the proceedings because I was afraid that I would be the one put on trial. I was just feeling happy that no one had noticed me. And then before I knew it, she caught me.
That'll teach you to underestimate us three.
Where should I begin? I'm sorry. I'm the one who killed Cowl. I admit it.
What? Why?
Firstly, my name isn't Halsey. It's Lillian, and I'm originally from Mondstadt.
That's fine, but what's the point?
I heard that Linney's show was gonna be a real thriller, but I missed the chance to buy a ticket, so I stole one.
Wait. So when she's a famous artist, no one actually recognizes her on sight. It's just the name that's famous. Wow, I think they should have made that way more obvious earlier on, because that's why I didn't count her as one of the culprits or the culprit, because she's famous. I specifically pointed out that they used the word famous, but she's only famous by name. God damn it.
That's how I make a living. I steal stuff here and there. And I'd never been caught before. But I was noticed at the harbor a few days ago, and I barely got away. Linney was the one who caught me in the act.
Oh, this is her. Look, NPCs in this game all look identical. They reuse the same face and hair all the time, so I had no reason to believe that this was the same chick.
Hey, no wonder you look familiar. So you were the thief. Linney even mentioned that you were pretty skilled.
Well, and I thought that would have been the end of it, but then the number selector chose me. He even mentioned the Fortress of Meripede. That's a prison, isn't it? So you can imagine how shocked I was. I thought he was on to me for sure. So I played along with the show while looking for an opening to flee. But then I got water poured on me for no reason, and then someone jumped into the tunnel to nab me. I wasn't going to take that lying down, so I knocked him out and stuffed him into the box.
But then why'd you hide?
There was nowhere to run from there, though, so I had to change my clothes and hide in a box containing performance costumes. I slipped out after the first guard arrived at the scene and continued hiding inside the opera house.
Can a person even hide in there?
If they're a practiced hand at concealment, probably.
But I swear I didn't know that the water tank would fall down. Really, I swear it. Had I known that, I wouldn't have put him in the magic box. I may be a thief, but I'm no killer.
Well, that makes everything pretty clear now, doesn't it?
But what about the water and dissolving people into water? Is that just a fallacy on the part of Cal? Now it's time to refute the Hydro Archon's previous reasoning.
This time, we need to tell the entire story from Lillian's perspective.
Okay. Let's go. Enter the tunnel afterwards. He used the ventilation shaft and did not participate. Okay, there's nothing really I can do with that. Plan to use prepared apparatuses for the magic tricks to dissolve Halsey inside the magic box. As Halsey has appeared completely unharmed before our very eyes, Farina's conjecture no longer holds water. And how would Halsey have reacted?
The strange sound wasn't from a fight. It was Lillian's attempt to break out when she was frightened.
Okay, a fight did indeed break out.
The flower vase was not broken to cover anything up, but was smashed during the struggle between Lillian and Cowell.
What did Halsey do? She dropped her clothes and ran, though God knows why.
Lillian was afraid that she would be recognized if
right.
she left, so she changed clothes and hid, biding her time. Just what one might expect of an experienced thief.
And we're done.
And it's Ace Detective Paimon time! Having been selected out of the blue, Lillian panicked. Her panic only intensified after she entered the tunnel and had water poured on her head. So she kicked the door open, producing the thud we all heard.
I don't think it would have been that loud, but
Hearing
okay.
the commotion, Cowell leapt into the tunnel, only to discover that Lillian had not dissolved. He did not know that Lillian was not from Fontaine, but was a thief who made her way in by stealing a ticket.
Okay, I mean, yes, that makes sense. So, yeah, she is meant to have dissolved because she was meant to have been Fontainian, but because she's not Fontainian, she's from Mondstadt. That's why she didn't dissolve, and that's why how the kerfuffle occurred. That's good, actually. I quite like that bait and switch. However, how did Cal get down? I feel like I have to watch the magic show yet again. I don't watch the whole thing. I only watch the parts that interest me for my purposes here. Still, why is no one mentioning Garrick? So he puts Lillian into the box, but did he join her in the box or did he stay outside? And then the light was on the box the entire time because the internal box was supposed to go down. So how did Cal get in the box to get down into the tunnel because it's the only way to enter from? did he then enter the box with Lillian? But, I never saw that. But if he did, wouldn't the water also have splashed onto him? Wouldn't she have had him present in the box when all this happened? I don't know, this all just seems weird. How did Cal get down there?
Mistakenly believing that the water from the primordial sea needed time to take effect, he tried to force Lillian back into the box. The two broke the flower vase during the struggle, but Lillian came out on top, knocking Cal out and putting him in the box.
Good for her.
With no way of escaping, she changed her clothes and hid in the costume trunk until the performance ended.
Take that, Farina.
She knew that she would have to go through guard inspection if she tried to leave afterward. So, she has been trapped in the opera house these last 2 days.
She had already become desperately hungry by the time we were chatting over macarons. So, she swiped 2 of them right under our noses. Talk about a sneaky thief.
I was wondering who could possibly have taken the other 2 since we were making such a big deal of it. If it just been mentioned in passing, be like, oh, okay, whatever. Paimon just doesn't remember how many macarons she had. But they made such a big deal of the fact 2 were missing. And I was like, I don't understand what point we're trying to make, but obviously we're trying to make a point. Now it finally makes sense. They actually did go missing because she stole them.
At this point, all the events that happened in the tunnel have now come to light.
Except for the voice of the oratrice, who, again, should have witnessed Linney's presence and should know that he was innocent. Trial over.
So that's the whole story. Bravo! Bravo!
Don't bravo, it's a goddamn trial. Suck it, Farina.
Now then, Lady Farina, do you wish to speak against the defense's statements? Please answer the question, Lady Farina. Also, if I may add, the trial has not yet ended. As such, I request that the prosecution not leave the room before the proceedings have concluded.
I love Novelet. He's like, bitch, I'm sick of putting up with you and your bullshit. Now I'm going to humiliate you. You will stand there and suffer the humiliation.
What? Are you reading my mind now? No, I have no further arguments. I admit defeat. But really, could you at least have left me with some dignity?
No, you don't deserve any.
Wow, look at that. She's like a deflated balloon now.
If there are no objections, then as the Chief Justice of Fontaine, I shall once again repeat the full sequence of events. The actual perpetrator of the serial disappearances, Cowell, selected his next victim from the audience reservation list. With some modifications to the selector, he could ensure that the pre-selected young woman would be chosen. To cover up any evidence while committing the deed, Cowell thought of allowing the water tank to fall, which would conceal the water left behind after the young woman was dissolved. He also tampered with the rope suspending the water tank, using the fireworks at the end of the performance to cause the tank to drop and hide the watermarks. He poured the water from the primordial sea into a balloon during the preparation of the magic box and stuck it to the box's lid. Finally, he passed the prepared hook on a rope through the gap in the magic box's door when bringing the young woman to said box. When the magic trick officially began, the box containing the woman was lowered into the tunnel, tightening the hook rope and bursting the balloon containing the water. If all had gone to plan, the young woman would be dissolved at this time. However, Lillian was not from Fontaine and thus fled the box with a loud noise. Realizing that there was trouble, Cowell entered the tunnel and met Lillian. Thinking that the waters had not yet taken effect, he decided to proceed.
Except we're ignoring the fact that how did Cal enter the tunnel?
However, his opponent was more capable than he thought, and he was overcome, knocked unconscious, and placed into the magic box, and thus became his own final victim. Lillian, according to her own statements, then changed clothes and hid until the performance ended, before hiding in other parts of the opera house. As for Linney, he was in the underground structures within the opera house, and was thus ignorant of these happenings. From this reconstruction of events, we can conclude that Linney, the accused, is in fact innocent.
Hooray, Linney and Lynette! Amazing!
While there is much in Linney and Lillian's conduct that should still be investigated separately,
yeah, like him going to the oratories.
this case at least can be handed over to the oratories to make the final decision.
What is this, Honkai Star Rail?
As such, Linney and Lynette are officially declared not guilty.
Excuse me, I did all the work.
Great
as per
work,
usual.
partners. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Let's not celebrate just yet.
Next, I think we deserve an explanation, Guard Vaughn.
Yeah.
How did you find the water from the primordial sea in Linney's baggage?
Yeah.
Right! Your discovery caused me to make a serious mistake, you know. Or was that not a discovery, but false evidence that you dared to bring before this court?
I suspect that the accomplice mentioned in Cowell's notes was not Linney, but you, yes? I'm sure you know what you must do to lessen your sentence.
Talk, boy.
Speak quickly! Unless you want to earn yourself a one-way ticket to Coupon Town.
What does that even mean? You don't use coupons in prison. And then you're insinuating that only poor people use coupons? I don't like that.
I was just following orders. We were supposed to place blame for the serial disappearances onto Linney, and thus cause suspicion to fall on the Fatui. The higher-ups said this was the best opportunity to do so.
Okay, so the question is, what group do you actually belong to? Who is the bigger threat behind this plot?
And now that your plan has fallen through, and the secrets of the water have been revealed, you have become a liability to said higher-ups, yes? Therefore, you would be wise to tell everything you know and seek the protection of the guards.
Yes, I'll tell you everything I know.
Boom, he's dead.
Our boss discovered that the water can cause people to dissolve.
You're not starting at the beginning, Vaughn. Start at the beginning. Who do you work for?
It can also be made into a potion, which when extremely diluted, can cause people to experience unforgettable exhilaration.
That doesn't sound healthy.
We've been in this business for a while now, and have made decent mora off it. The disappearances were also the boss's idea. I mean, this is the boss we're talking about. The...
He turns into water. Which is why you should have started with the boss.
You can no longer talk.
You suck.
Such ruthlessness. I shouldn't have expected any less of them.
But you still can't tell me who they are.
An outrageous act. All present, please submit to inspection immediately.
However, nothing is found on the scene apart from the liquid left behind after Vaughn dissolved. Is there any way to put them back together? Undo the dissolution?
So, we're just going back now?
The problem seems to have been solved for now. We're not needed here anymore.
That's true, but...
Traveler, Paimon, please wait.
Wow, the Traveler has been sassy for once.
Linney...
I know you may not want to speak to me right now. Maybe you don't even want to look at me. But still, let me thank you again for defending me to the end. Even after you learned that I'm a member of the Fatui.
I just didn't wish to see anybody be falsely accused. I just want to be sure that we're square.
I guess. But regardless, I'd like the opportunity to set things straight. I didn't approach you with any ulterior motives or ill intent. I've spoken to you as myself, just plain Linney this entire time. As for why I'm a Fatus, it's because the goals of the House of the Hearth align with those of an orphan like me. That's all. That was how Father, who you might know as the Knave, approached recruiting us back then too.
The Knave. Okay. I don't know which one that is, but okay.
The Knave? The one who controls the House of the Hearth? She's your father?
That's right. And since we're here, I was wondering, would you mind hearing a story? It's about my past.
Why you specifically? Was Lynette not present?
Back when our parents first died, Lynette and I were left wandering the streets. To survive, I took to surreptitiously observing an older street performer who did magic. It took me several days to figure out how he pulled off his amazing tricks. I took my sister through several streets until we found a crowded corner, and we began to perform magic tricks there. To my surprise, we proved to be pretty popular, and we could at least stop worrying about where our next meal would come from for a time. But I didn't want my sister to remain a street rat together with me forever. Before long, an aristocrat came to me and claimed that he wished to take us in after watching my performances.
So you went from orphans to nobility just like that?
I mean, being taken in by nobility doesn't automatically make you nobility, Paimon.
That was how we felt at first, too. As if fate was on our side and we could say goodbye to those painful days.
Yeah, about that.
But I gradually discovered that while we were called foster children, he was really after my talent for magic tricks. He would constantly take me to all sorts of banquets to garner attention, which he would then use to expand his social circles.
He's gathering children just to further his own agenda.
That doesn't seem too bad either. Better than roaming the streets at any rate.
It took a while for me to realize just how dark his heart really was. After one particular performance at a banquet, I discovered that Lynette was not on the same return vehicle as me. I waited a long time after we returned home, but she did not come back. I went to that noble's bedroom and asked him about her whereabouts. The answer he gave me was, she caught the eye of the most eminent person at the banquet, so I sent her over as a gift. I mean, you'll be able to perform your magic regardless of who your assistant is, yes?
Oh no. So he was gonna... But wouldn't Fontaine's laws deal with such people?
As far as outsiders are concerned, this is a relationship akin to adoption or foster care, and they have their ways of escaping the eye of the law.
So what happened after that?
I managed to ferret out the location of the mansion of that so-called eminent person and hurried through the night. But by the time I leaped over the walls, avoided the guards, and made my way in, all I saw was the moonlit ground covered in blood, and the knave standing there in the darkness.
So, she'd already taken care of that guy.
That's right. She had rescued my sister before she could come to any harm, and had even discovered several girls hidden in a basement, all of them orphans.
Right. Okay. I didn't know where we were going with this, but there we go. Yep, that makes sense.
Father, the knave, might have seen something in me, and so she made me an offer. The House of the Hearth welcomes you, for your interests align with ours. Here, none will ever betray you. Indeed, betrayal shall never be permitted here. I was hesitant to trust her. I had just been betrayed by nobles.
So are they trying to paint the knave in a good light? So we're not supposed to think ill of her? Does she then join as a playable character?
But she was also quick to destroy the noble who had taken us in at first, giving us back our freedom.
Oh, so that's how the two of you joined the House of the Hearth.
The knave is after the Gnosis, isn't she?
She has her own plans. She has gained permission from the Tsaritsa to first use the Gnosis's power once she obtains it. She plans to use it to find a way to break the prophecy and save Fontaine.
So, she believes in that prophecy too?
That's right. The whole House of the Hearth is currently working to combat that crisis. Today's case has also proven that people from Fontaine can indeed dissolve into some sort of water, thus further supporting the prophecy. All of us house members here, Lady Arlecchino herself included, are from Fontaine. We won't give up on defending our homeland.
Arlecchino, okay.
To us orphans, the only connection we have left to this world, apart from our family, is our homeland.
So, from small deeds like distributing magic pockets to huge schemes like stealing a Gnosis, everything is aimed at dealing with that prophecy.
Sorry, my mind was busy thinking about Commedia dell'arte. Sorry. Because the members of the Fatui, the Harbingers, all have the role from Commedia dell'arte, which is a form of comedic art, it's in the name, from Italy, where the actors took on a particular role that were very stereotypical in nature, and they would perform acts in character for, as a show to the comedy of others. And they all wore masks, and the masks were easily identifiable to each character. We did commedia dell'arte and drama in high school, and that's why I'm pretty familiar with some of it. It's been a long time, guys. My knowledge is a bit rusty. So I was just trying to wonder, have we actually seen the Fatui with masks on? I feel like we would have. Because I remember what some of the masks look like, particularly Illitore's, though. I don't know if I've seen the Doctor wearing one. And I remember what Columbina's looks like. I think I remember what Alacuno's looks like as well, but I'd have to see it to double check. But I wonder if it was just, sorry, that's where my mind was going. After he mentioned the name, I was like, ooh, I think I remember what the mask looks like. Wait, have I seen the Fatui in masks? I don't remember. I think I have, but I don't remember. But I just like the idea that they've taken these villains from literally commedia dell'arte. I think that's really cool. Anyway, I'm sorry, but I still can't completely trust you.
It's all right. I understand. The only thing I can do is relate all this to you. I just hope you can understand that even as a member of the House, I have never stopped making my own decisions, and that I believe what I'm doing is right.
I still don't think that taking notes from an Archon's a good idea. Ever. But whatevs.
If you should need anything at all in the future, feel free to find me. I will do my best to help you, as plain Linney.
I understand. Bye!
Bye, Linney.
Screw Linney. Bye, Lynette. Why not Lynette? Why does everybody forget about Lynette? I feel sorry for this girl. Leave the opera house. Well, that can be done easily enough. Bye, Navia.
Hey there. What was with the disappearing act you pulled right as the trial ended?
Sorry, unrelated. Every time I hear a name, I'm reminded of the Korean word for butterfly, of nabi. So it keeps reminding me of that. I keep like, oh, she's supposed to be a butterfly, and then I remember that, no, a butterfly in French is papillon, so no.
Were you looking for us, Navia?
Well, this whole thing isn't exactly over, is it? I do feel that we're getting closer to solving the serial disappearances case, though. Don't you think so, too?
Absolutely. I'm sorry, Navia.
Huh? What's wrong, my dear partner?
I don't know. It seemed like a weird option, if you ask me. I was really only trying to defend Linney. I wasn't necessarily looking into serial disappearances case. Yeah, but don't you find it interesting, Traveler? I've got to find that Traveler's been really weird this entire time. She's got weird thoughts, weird opinions. She's doing weird things. I don't know that I agree with her stance on any of this, which is unusual because usually the Traveler doesn't really have an opinion on anything, and she doesn't really have a personality. She's just a blank, boring slate. But here, she's starting to have an opinion that I don't agree with, and it's a little frustrating. But why wouldn't you be interested in the serial disappearances case? Don't you find the concept of someone dissolving into water to be intriguing? And don't you think that there could be some connection between that and the prophecy? You were interested in the prophecy, so wouldn't you be keen to make a connection between all of this? But apparently not.
Besides, are you sure we're the ones who can crack a case that's been cold for decades now? And given that there's new evidence from the trial, there should be a trail of breadcrumbs for the Hydro Archon's people to follow now.
I don't think the Hydro Archon gives a shit, Paimon. She doesn't seem to really care about truth and justice. She just cares about a good show.
Ah, I see. Well, I won't lie. I'm a little shocked to hear that from you. But I suppose you are just travelers who have only arrived in Fontaine after all. Sorry. I might have been too presumptuous.
No, I'm shocked as well, Navia, and I've been traveling with him for 3 years.
Don't say that, Navia.
3 years?
Oh,
this drag of time.
And we were having so much fun investigating with you, too. It was like having new waters flowing into a stagnant mire, causing new hope to spring forth, and the reflection in the murk to become clearer. Sorry about that. I'm a bit prone to nostalgia. Don't mind me. Wait, shall we have a farewell meal? You know, to commemorate our time as partners?
I barely know you.
Huh? Do we really need to get that formal? Well, guess you really did treat us as partners, huh?
Well,
and she came in clutch at the end.
Proper ending to every important memory. That way there are no regrets later. Anyway, it would just be a meal, so it shouldn't take up too much of your time.
Okay, let's go.
You don't have to twist Paimon's arm.
No kidding.
If Boss Navi is treating, count Paimon in.
Oh, wonderful. In that case, why don't we return to the Court of Fontaine and head to the Hotel de Boer? I believe we'll make it just in time for dinner.
All right then, let's have our farewell meal.
Prelude of Blessure and Noisir complete.